crafters, it is high time that we tackled a vintage sewing project around here. You guys may know, if you checked out some of my sewing playlists or historical playlists here on the channel, that I love finding vintage reproduction or vintage inspired patterns and learning a little bit about history by tackling some of those patterns. Some of them really stretch my sewing muscles, as I am a learner sewer, and I'm definitely learning when it comes to historical everything. But these can be a lot of fun, a great way to deep dive into history and kind of get a feel for times past, but also create some very unique items for yourself that are hopefully really fun to wear and use today. In today's project, I'm going to be using a vintage pattern from the 1940s for making a 1940s shirt dress. I found this pattern on Etsy. I was searching for a shirt dress because I love, especially 1940s kind of shirt dresses. They're always cute, but they also have kind of a utilitarian vibe to them. Like, yeah, I'm gonna look cute, but I got stuff to do. And I feel like that's a great vibe for today, as it was for ladies then. Shirt dresses are great for dressing up or dressing down. They can be workwear appropriate, easy to wear today, even if you're not going for a full vintage look. And of course, if you are, that would be adorable, right? I will link you to the pattern that I've purchased down below. I really love how so many vendors on Etsy are digitizing vintage patterns so that today they're more accessible to all of us. I was searching for shirt dress, and I was also searching by my size and my bust size, and that's what helped me find this one. I will link that one below. I'm also going to show you the fabric I'm using. I love gingham, and I have a big old piece of red and white gingham that I think will be so cute in this dress. It might coordinate with some of my favorite vintage inspired jewelry, some maybe like a fruit theme. I'm seeing kind of an apple picking vibe. Should be a fun project. Will probably stretch my sewing muscles a little bit, but in a good way. Come along on the sewing adventure and I will show you what we're working with and hopefully show you a really cute dress as a result. Let's get to sewing.
Well, you guys may recognize this pattern. This is a pretty cool one. 1943, they're saying. Up there at the top corner. And I purchased this pattern on Etsy. I will definitely link to it below. I was really excited to find this one because it's a shirt dress, A-line skirt, kind of simple, but super cute all at the same time. It seems like a lot of the vintage patterns that are just like commercially available are kind of dressier or cutesier styles. And I really love how this one is kind of utilitarian. It's like, it's there to get the job done, but it's cute. I used this pattern for a birthday dress. I made it in flannel for kind of a cottagecore inspired thing. I will link to those projects because that was a lot of fun. And some of those projects will also give us some of the details of what I'm doing today. Here are the pattern pieces I have got to cut out. Lots of markings I need to make on all of them. And oh my goodness, look at this cutting diagram. Ooh, they are not wasting any fabric on this guy. Oh, and interesting stuff. They're also letting us know that for the most part, we're using 1/2 inch seam allowance instead of what we think of as 5/8 normal. Okay, so after I've got things cut out, okay, I got some work to do. Oy. I gotta say, these old patterns definitely don't give you as much instruction as modern patterns. I guess you're kind of assumed to know what you were doing. So these are definitely a stretch for me. They take some work, but I'm working on it. I'm gonna need to make some darts in the front and in the back. So the shoulder seams, we have side seams. I gotta make sure I leave one side seam open for a little like zipper or snap placket that's gonna go in the side. I got some buttonholes I gotta do. Oh my word. Getting the collar in has definitely caused me some head scratching, but I think I figured it out. The collar and kind of the facing for the placket in the front are all kind of put on at one time. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk when we get there. There we go. And then our bodice needs a little bit of gathering in the front. Before then, hey, we'll need to put our skirt panels together, definitely leaving a little opening for that side placket. Then we're stitching our bodice to the skirt. And we got some sleeves. There are a few things I'm going to be changing on this pattern. One of the things I'm going to be doing is instead of making darts in the sleeves, I am just going to gather those. I've tried it both ways. The darts make a very strong shoulder. So if you're looking for a really strong 40s looking shoulder, go for that. I prefer kind of a softer puff, so I'm going to go for that as well. They give you some more info if you want to make shoulder pads, if you want to make a belt. All good things, you guys. Whew. I gotta say, they call this pattern like a quick make, or what do they say? Perfect pattern. Easily made. I wouldn't say easy, at least for me. Definitely a lot of steps involved, but most of them are pretty straightforward, and I really like the results. So let's take a look at the fabric, and we'll dive right in. Wow, you guys! Talking about fabric, yes, I am going gingham-tastic with this dress. I really love gingham. You might remember my rainbow gingham dress where I did a whole dress out of like rainbow colors of gingham. Well, I finally got a remnant of red and white gingham. That was the perfect size for making this dress. Whoa! So you can tell I got some of the pieces cut out. I've got my two front bodice pieces. Those are the ones with this kind of weird looking like extra flappy thing. What is that? That's going to get folded over, and that's going to create a little bit of the collar and also the button placket. And then I have another collar piece that goes around the back. We'll check that out more later. Okay, and then of course we got the back bodice. We've got sleeves, very puffy sleeves. I do have two pocket pieces. I can really only have one pocket on this dress because there's an interesting side placket on one side, so I think I'm going to put one in. Why not, right? And then I have 4 pieces for my skirt. Oh, and 2 more collar pieces as well. Whew! All right, that's a lot of gingham. And it's making me really happy. All right, let's take a peek at our bodice pieces here. Okay, a little hard to see, but lots of dots. Some of these dots are marking where buttonholes are going to go. I need to make some little shoulder darts. I need to do that on both sides. I need to make some tiny little shoulder darts in the back bodice piece as well. I think I'm going to start working on those, and then we'll check back in on the pattern and see what we got to do next. Okay, well, we got our first stitching done, yes. Okay, you can see I did the tiny little darts on the back bodice. And then, I'm sorry, I think I called these darts and the front bodice panels. They're not darts. They're technically like little tucks that end right there on both sides. Okay, cool. Let's see what's coming next. All right. So next I gotta sew up my collar pieces, and then I'll stitch it around the neck. And then this starts to get a little wibbly wobbly down here, but we'll take a look at that in just a second. Let's start collar. Oh, wait a minute. What am I talking about here? Getting ahead of myself. I need to stitch the bodice together. Shoulders, side seams. I need to leave one side seam open part way for that side placket. So, okay, let's put this bodice thing together. And then we'll talk collar. All right, this is starting to look like a bodice. We got the side seams in. We got the collar, well, part of the collar. It's been pinned and stitched to the outside, all around the neckline. And then we still got these kind of flappy bits of the front bodice. And as per the directions, I have rolled under the top and side edges of these flappy bits because these are going to end up being kind of part of our neck collar, and also we're going to end up folding these under to make kind of the front button placket. Okay, this is the part of the directions where I always significantly scratch my head. And here's where we're at. Oh man. Okay. I think both of these pages use some similar information. Like they're telling us, okay, so we pinned the collar to the outside and stitched that down. We did that. And then I believe this picture actually goes with the directions, or at least part of the directions for number 3. And that really messed me up before. But here's that kind of flappy bit, that extension part of the bodice, and I've got the edges rolled under of that. They want me to stitch under, okay, I did that. Fold to the outside on small dots to form a hem facing. So I'm going to fold that flappy bit to the outside. And I'll show you this more up close in a minute, but I'm going to kind of line up the edge of this with basically my shoulder. This is my shoulder. And let's see. Oh, look, I got a little triangle here. There we go. This is going to end up getting pinned over the outside of the collar. Like that. And then I'm going to stitch that down all the way around. And when you turn it right side out, it's going to make a nice little pointed collar and a nice finished edge. That sounds crazy. Let me show you that with some pins. Okay guys, so we're kind of looking at the front of the shirt. Here are those long pieces of the front bodice, and I've done kind of, you know, what those directions are saying. And I have taken that long extension and pinned it over the collar. The collar's in there. Here's my shoulder seam, kind of hidden in there. But the edge of this piece of the bodice is getting pinned over the collar, and it's stopping right about at the shoulder. And then I've got it pinned kind of to the front. There's a little extra right here. The front of the shirt actually starts right about there. But I lined up the little V's. I've now folded this over, and you can tell I've done the same thing on the other side. Collar's under there. And you can tell I got my pins going the wrong way because I want to pretend that those pins are stitches. And let's see what's going to happen if I pin this, you know, this bodice piece up around the neckline, basically to the edge of the shoulder. What would happen if we stitch that? Okay. So here's what's going to happen. That's going to end up making, whoa, this really nice finished edge. Here's the inside. This will be the outside. And you get like a little collar piece, and then the collar itself is going to flip down over that, and it'll kind of end up doing something kind of like that on the front. Let's look at the other side. Let's turn it right side out. Pretend I've stitched that down. I hope I'm doing this right. The directions are really difficult to follow, but if we do that, it should work. Mostly. Yeah. Then the directions do say to use some bias tape and cover up the raw edges here on the inside. I think I'll just take like double fold bias tape and just pin it along this raw edge until it's like hidden under here, and just protect that. They do say to deal with the raw edge that way. But as far as I can tell, I think I'm doing it right. I don't know. I think this will definitely work at any rate. It's this has definitely caused me to scratch my head very hard. Maybe even pull some of my hair out to figure this out each time I get to this part of the pattern, but I think this is looking good. I'm gonna stitch this down. Need to get some bias tape on the raw edges, and I think we'll be good to go. Okay, guys, let's look at what we've got to do next. I've got the little bit of bias tape just covering that super raw edge in the back. And of course, I'm going to eventually need to add the buttonholes. I'm kind of lucky with this dress. I've only got to do 3. But let's see. Thankfully, I've got a lot of markings here to help me. Cutting out this pattern takes a lot of time because there are a billion markings. But I've learned my lesson. If you actually mark them, it helps. So before I put my buttonholes in, I am probably going to find my buttonhole spots. Yeah, here we go. I'm probably going to put a little bit of iron-on interfacing, like maybe like an oval of it, over this area where the buttonholes are going to be. Just iron that down. That seems to help kind of stabilize those buttonholes a little bit, especially if I'm working with lightweight fabric. And I am not a very good buttonholer person, so I'm probably not going to film that part. I don't know. Something always goes wrong, so wish me luck. I got to do that. But hey, let's look at the next steps. Let's leave those buttonholes for a little while. I'm not avoiding them. I'm just moving on, obviously. All right, front bodice. We do a little bit of gathering in the front. Not a whole lot. We're going to tack the opening of the bodice closed. Might be easier if I put in those buttonholes now. Choices. Moving on. Next, we need to, oh man, attach the skirt panels. 2 panels in the front, 2 in the back. I gotta leave a little hole for that side opening. And let's see, sew the bodice to the skirt. Wow, they make it look so easy. They suggest closing that little side opening with, well, first they have you face it with some bias tape, like cover the raw edges, and then they have you sew snaps and hooks and eyes. I have done that, and it takes a really long time, a surprising amount of time. So, although I'm not a friend of zippers, I may end up putting a zipper in there. We'll see. Again, I'm not avoiding the issue, I'm just moving on, obviously. Hey, then we've got our sleeves. I'm not going to be doing those darts at the top of the sleeve. I am just going to gather that fabric. I'm probably not adding a cuff at the bottom, although I may add a little bit of elastic, maybe in the lower hem of my sleeve to make a little poof. We'll see. We'll see. Then, of course, I'm not putting in shoulder pads, but that would be historical. And, hey, directions for making a belt, which I may not make one with, like, a clasp, but I'll probably try to make a thin, just a little tie belt out of my extra fabric. So, guys, those are the steps I'm going to be doing. I'm not quite sure how far I'm going to get this evening, or if I'm going to face my buttonhole fears. We'll see. But that's where I'm at. I'll try to do a little bit of filming. I know the light in here gets kind of bad after a while, so I'll film what I can, and then I'll show you what we're up to tomorrow. Good morning, you guys. Hey, it's a new day, and you saw I got some work done last night. Yay! Hey, well, we've got the skirt pieces sewn together. I do have a pocket on there. I kind of stole that pocket from another dress pattern because this one doesn't really have it, and you can't have two pockets because there's that side placket. It's got to open over there, so I'm just kind of winging it with that pocket, and yeah, I think it's in there a little bit wonky, but anyway, I wanted a pocket. And hey, I've got some sleeves over here. Excited about those. And hey, there's a bodice. Yay! Are you proud of me? I got some buttonholes in here. Yay, not too much drama. Lots of pen marking. Disappearing pen. Trying to get those all lined up. But I'm excited about that guy. I've also got some gathering stitches down here at the bottom. Gonna need to adjust those when I sew the bodice to the skirt. I did sew the base of the base of the button placket closed so that the bodice is ready to get stitched to the skirt. We still have a bunch left to do, but we're getting close to having this actually be like a dress. I think my next step is, I think I'm going to do sleeves next. I've got to run, 2 lines of gathering stitches on the sleeves and make those all puffy. And then I go to pin those into the armholes, stitch them down, yahoo. And then I think we're on to attaching the skirt to the bodice. Hey, and then we're gonna have a dress. Yay! All right, let's get going. Guys, I am so frustrated. Okay, blouse looks great, right? I mean, I got the sleeves in. It's all looking good. Thankfully, I tried the thing on. And for some reason, when I'm wearing this, the sleeves do this really weird tall poof thing. Like, they look okay just here, but when it's on, they're like this pointy poof that's going on. Oh my gosh, I haven't noticed that so much when I've done this pattern before, but it has been a while. And then also I was like moving my arms, moving my shoulders around, and I'm realizing that these sleeves are kind of tight and kind of narrow. And not only do they not look good, but they were uncomfortable. Somehow I hadn't picked up on that before. Or my size has changed, definitely some since I did this last. Hey, so it wouldn't be a good sewing project without a major disaster or two, right? So, we're going to take the sleeves out. And everything we just did, we're going to do again, but hopefully with a better fitting sleeve. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here is the original sleeve pattern. It's got a super high curve, and it's kind of narrow. Instead of this one, I want to try using this sleeve from a different pattern. Let's see. Oops. Turn this over. This is the McCall's M8033 dress pattern. Let me see if I can find that. Hang on. Where's the picture? Ah. Okay, here it is. Here's this poof. And I would, of course, be doing the shorter version, which, you know, stops right about here. And compare it to the original. It's a lot gradualer of a curve. And it's a little shorter, but it's also a lot wider. So I'm really hoping that this other one is just going to be a looser fit and way more comfortable to wear. I'll put a little bit of elastic in the cuff to make it poofy. Hopefully that helps. Also, I don't have enough of my original fabric left, so thank the Lord I hoard gingham, and I have a little remnant left over from our previous project that will work. It's the same color. It's basically the same size check. It's not quite the same weave. Like, this has a little bit more nubbiness to it. This is a bit smoother, but good enough, people. We're going to go for it. So I'm not going to film the whole rest of this process because I'm frustrated and annoyed. But I'm going to get some iced tea, hydrate, get in the zone, and fix these sleeves. Wish me luck. I survived. Okay, situation update. The sleeves are better. When I put it on, it still kind of gets this like pointy thing going on. But I am using a much wider sleeve down here, like it doesn't taper as much. So it's definitely easier to move in. And I'm hoping that I'm gonna, you know, kind of, I've ironed under a little bit of a cuff there, and I'm gonna like fold under a little tube all the way around and put some elastic in this. And I'm hoping that when it kind of scrunches with the elastic, that it'll kind of make a poof that will hopefully even out the shoulder thing. Gosh, I guess it, I don't know, might just be a thing with this fabric, but anyway, I survived. Things are better. It's like almost, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours later. Okay, next, gotta add the skirt to the top to make a dress. Then we'll have a dress, which is exciting. Need to finish the sleeves, and I'll need to hem the skirt. And after that, it'll be a lot of finished stuff. Like, I gotta choose the buttons and get those on there. I need to put in the side zipper. Wait, which side is it? Yeah, there we go. Gotta put in the little side zipper. Am I good at that? No. Am I nervous? Yeah. I need to actually go buy the zipper, and then I'm going to be watching some very helpful YouTube videos to help me make sure I'm doing that right. I will link to those, by the way, because I'm not going to film me doing it. It scares me, but I will link to those videos too. All right, enough stalling. Back to sewing.